wanted to create a convention that we felt like was truly built from the ground up to be very inclusive of everyone, like make everyone feel like they really belong in the world of fandom, because they do. Everybody deserves a seat at the table and deserves to feel comfortable and safe attending events, and not to be shut out of like networking opportunities and fun stuff to do. So that was the original impetus, and it's been so much fun that we keep doing it, just because it's the number of awesome people that we've met along the way, and just how much everyone, including us, looks forward to that weekend in October every year. It's not that big a stretch to say that sometimes people do go and then come out a little bit changed on the other side of it, at least in terms of their new friends and their new thoughts on things, and like rejuvenated inspiration.
I think the conversations is what Jesse means. When you come out of it and you've had all of these amazing conversations that you don't necessarily get to have in everyday life, people who are smart and funny and usually quite goofy, and it's becoming a family.
And that starts with our show and our means of taking care of you, which is by entertaining you. And that involves us telling you all the reasons why you decided to attend. I'm sure you know them well. But now it's time to turn the spotlight on the Multiverse Convention with your host, Joe Compton. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spotlight on the Multiverse, our mid-season finale for the time being. We'll be taking a little hiatus in August and then coming back at the end or beginning of September. But I couldn't have thought of a better way to finish this little grouping than with the guests I have today, one of which you see right here with me, the awesome, impressive Mr. Marc Gunn. Hello, Marc. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Joe?
Good. You've been on this show before, but just in case there's some new people watching and some new people, hopefully from Multiverse watching, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and who you are.
So I'm Marc Gunn. I do sci-fi drinking songs. It is yes. It's funny. So I started off playing before me at Renaissance festivals, and along the way, someone was like, "You, I love that you play filk music," and I was like, "What's filk?" And they're like, "Well, you haven't heard of filk, and you do that." And then I found out, got to some sci-fi conventions, and they're telling me, "Oh, we love what you love the music." It turns out one of the great things was all the people who go to Renaissance festivals, who work at Renaissance festivals, they go to science fiction conventions. So they're like, "There's where I work. This is where I play." So it worked out really well. And then, of course, in the way, I grew up on Star Wars and Star Trek, with two of my huge fandoms early on that were so instrumental in creating who I am. I started doing those. I started singing songs inspired by those, and it's resonated. And I got into other things, Firefly, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, and whatnot, and just had a lot of fun with it. So, yeah. You're
kind of the resident headlining concert at Multiverse. Yeah. You've been that since the very beginning. It's kind of interesting. So you do a night performance there, and you're there. What is it about Multiverse that's so special for you to do that?
So when I it's funny. So I started off, and we were talking earlier before the show that we both lived in Austin, and that's where I got my start with Renaissance festivals. And in 2002 is when I first did Dragon Con. And Dragon Con was amazing. That's where the Rob Nagy and Bards, my old band, we built a big fan base. We grew. And little did I know that in 2019 I'd be living in Atlanta and start continuing to do Dragon Con, and whatnot. But it was the start of living in Atlanta. All of a sudden I was like, well, I want to be a part of the community, to be a part of the convention circuit. And I got involved with Multiverse and started singing some songs and whatnot. And I really loved it. I fell in love with it, actually, because I think this was actually the first convention small convention that I played, where it was not like a Dragon Con where you have hordes of people, and sometimes it's difficult actually seeing that being a part of something. It was very much personal. The shows are not, my shows aren't packed or anything, but I know every person in the audience, or most of them, or by the end of it, I usually end up knowing them. And it is a very personable convention, and that's one of the things that I absolutely fell in love with the convention, was the interactions, the being able to chat with people. And it's not just about singing songs, it's about meeting people and interacting with them, which is just amazing. It's the culture. It is the culture.
And the sing-alongs are amazing. Everybody, like, people really do schedule themselves to be there to sing along with you. It's really cool.
Which is again part of the culture too. Being able to interact with people in some form or fashion. That's what I love about drinking songs. Is it's not just about drinking; it's about singing along, and with alcohol use, but it's about singing along with people, and it's about interacting with them on a personal level. Yeah.
Sorry, they're testing my fire alarm as we're talking, so I apologize for the noise like that.
Ooh, lovely. No worries. Yeah. So yeah. Well, I'll try to. We can jump in when you're ready, and I'll improvise while they test the fire alarm. Yeah. So that's what got me into it. I think I remember the first year that I was. So when I first started, I was like, book a show. A show and a table.
Yeah.
Then there was one of the tracks was the meat track, where you get meat, and I don't remember what. I don't know if it was music or podcasting or what, but we sat down and there's a bunch of people who are all into the same thing. I think actually, because I've been doing podcasting. Actually, today is my 20-year anniversary for my biggest podcast, the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. But we got to interact with all these people and chat and share ideas and thoughts, and I was like, this is really cool. Something that I didn't expect, and I got to meet people and outside of just fans who interact, but you meet other people in Atlanta and the area, so it was really just fantastic.
It's kind of I've heard that the music meetup is really special because people bring like unique instruments and things like that. It just becomes this big jam band hour, basically.
Yeah, each year has been different. So there was we've gone through the jam band stuff. We've gone through the chatting, talking about music business. It kind of varies, and that's that's one of the joys about anything in life, is when you get a little variety and you can make it what you want.
Well, I mean, how did the new space treat you? Was it a better experience for you? Did you like being on the stage a little bit more there? Because they have like a little rise stage there a little bit, so it was
it was really cool once I remembered where it was. The first, I put it wrong in the calendar, and I would drive up to the event to the old Yearbook Forest location, and I was like, crap! Oh my! And after that, it was great. And I really enjoyed getting to know the new area. And actually, I think it was actually a little bit better the way it was set up last year. I felt like then the old location, because it was just. I don't know what it was about that particular space, but it was just a lot more just interactive and friendly, and just felt better for me. So I liked it a lot better.
And I'd be remiss. I was prompted by a certain someone that we both know, Miss Vanessa Junta, to ask you about your experience beyond your music, because you came and joined us for story time.
Oh, jeez.
and and you became the talk of the town, basically, or the weekend, I should say, with your donkey rendition.
Yes. It wasn't a donkey. It was a sheep or a goat. I think it was a goat.
Okay.
I think it might have been a goat. Yeah,
goat. It was a goat. You're right.
I spent years perfecting my goats. It's sort of like my Irish accent. When I get really drunk, I can either go goat or Irish. And
was that a lot of fun for you though?
It was a blast. That was really cool too, because I don't outside of performing music on stage, I don't actually do as many panels usually. I've been trying to immerse myself in a little bit more because it's so much fun, but that was definitely one of the movements where I was like, okay, this is why I need to keep doing these, because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it might just be you're sitting up there and talking, or you might end up chewing the hair of someone who's in the audience. I don't know which.
The one thing to be said for that, I think, and I'm wondering how you feel about this, because you're going to go to a convention that kind of, the Gen Con. The Gen. Sorry, I'm trying to time it so I can talk while. You're going to conventions that are, not so much musically oriented, right? But I mean, they're geek oriented, so that helps you. But when you do things like that are outside of what you would normally do, like just not performing, you go to like a panel or you go something like that. Do you find, because I think authors find this a lot, this happens a lot for people who do panels a lot, is that you start selling yourself a little bit more, and selling yourself then endears people to want to engage with you more and look at what you're doing. Do you find that's kind of the case for you as well?
Definitely. So this is actually the conventions I've done this year thus far were smaller conventions for the most part, and I didn't do it with Gen Con, and I probably should. But I've been looking at the smaller, looking for the small panels just to be a part of, and I don't. The problem is a lot of times when you go to a convention and they have a whole list of panels, and you're like, I don't really know enough about this topic.
Yeah.
And you're like, and that's where I'm like, okay, forget what I know, just be a part of it. I mean, I know a little bit, and so there's like some that I did earlier this year. There's like a Doctor Who thing, which I love Doctor Who, but I haven't gotten to past Matt Smith, yet. So I'm like, and they're doing it, and I went there and it was fun anyways. And you start interacting with people and talking about whatever the topic is, and you find it's a little bit more real. You get a little nugget of veracity that's so much more fun. And yes, it endears you to people, and that's what I never really understood. And like so at some conventions you can create your own panels, and one of the things that I've been trying to do is think outside the box. What kind of types of things can I be a part of in general? So I know in Multiverse, I submitted myself for a whole bunch of things that I was like, I don't know, but we'll see, and that's definitely the way I'm going forward.
I love that. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be totally off base here, but having listened to your last album and reviewed it and really absorbed it and loving it, I feel like you're on a trajectory where you haven't been before, where you're doing a lot more self-discovery, a lot more reminiscing, a lot more of you is being portrayed in what you're doing. Is that fair to say for you? Do you feel like that's the journey you're on currently?
Definitely. I've really enjoyed songwriting over the past few years. Mm-hmm. There's songwriting is not the easiest thing. I find myself frequently blocked and not just creating anything. But there are moments when I get outside of myself. Usually it happens So I have a podcast that I do with my friend Mikey Mason, and it's called In the Verse, song crafting from the, well, used to be Firefly, but it's expanded beyond it. We do whatever sci-fi medium that we love, and we can write a song inspired by the episode. But what I love about it is that it's not, I don't prefer to write songs that are just about the characters in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I like to write songs that are inspired by the show.
Mm-hmm.
So you like, I have a song on the my latest album, Come Adventure With Me, which is called Blink. And in it, I spend the whole time, you listen to the episode, if you've seen the episode Blink from Doctor Who, you're like, yes, 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 yes. My daughter, my oldest daughter, I played it for her, and she was like, yes, yes, oh my God, that's so great. But it's more than that, though. It's also a love song. And I can put a little bit of my own life into the song as well. And all of my songs, I find that I do that, and I find the songs become better because of it. So yeah, I definitely have enjoyed writing songs. I have a new album I did with my band, the Brobdingnagian Bards, and there's a few songs like there. I have a song written from the perspective of Samwise Gamgee called "Coming Home," and it's a song about longing. I was thinking about the moment when I was going to be gone from my wife and family for quite a long time, and I was like, I just want to be back with you, and so I wrote it from his perspective, but it was definitely a much more personalized picture. Or there's the song Mother's Blood that I wrote, which is a song a little tribute that I wrote for my wife, but it's also inspired by The Witcher. A lot of the things in there are inspired by The Witcher. And
yeah, I mean, the latest album, you have Reaver's drinking song on there.
Yes.
And then there's another one that's inspired by Firefly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
there's
Spiderwebs,
Favor of a Dance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm pretty sure there's another one, but I'm drawing a blank on what it is right now.
But Favor of the Dance is really interesting because it's really, to me that's probably one of your more personal songs.
I love that song. I love it because Naked is the one that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
But Favor of a Dance, I love that one because it captures it has a little bit of, it captures that the moment where Mal is saying, hey, favor of will you give me the favor of a dance to Inara in the episode Shindig. But it's also, you have these moments where it's almost what is it, West Side Story-ish, where they're it's a little verbal combat in it, which just makes me really happy. But it's a sign of respect and then fighting for your love. It's just and of course I love the rhythm on the song too, which is the other thing that makes me really happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's where you're gonna stay in that wheelhouse a little bit more, or you feel
definitely? I mean, I will go where a song leads me. I wrote a song that when I was in Ireland in June. I wrote a song called "Bunnies in the Bracken," and it's this little lusty little folk ditty. It's not I don't know if it'll ever turn into anything huge or anything, and that's okay. So I'll follow it, but whether it ends up on a CD, my hope is to make my songs that I officially release to be better, just better, just better songwriting, songs that people will want to play and sing along to. And I'll try them out in concert to see which is different than I used to do, because when I early on when I started, I would play songs. Everything was already recorded, and then I'd play songs, and then I'd find out what people liked and went from there. But now I'm like, well, I want to see what resonates, and that doesn't mean it's the only song I'm going to do. Like Naked is one of, again, going back to that song. I love that song because it for me, it resonates. It resonates. a song inspired by the episode Trash from Firefly, with where Saffron takes Mal's gun and leaves him naked, and it's about emotional vulnerability. And I like the ideal about that, which I also wrote about when I wrote the song Shiny, a song about emotional vulnerability. And those are things that I feel like I could work on. So, it's you could call some of these songs as self-help, I guess.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it is emotional. It is therapy, though. I mean, it's also therapy for your brain, getting that stuff out of there, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But hopefully going forward, I will be writing more songs that are that also are inspired by things, but that I can find a way to link them to things that are important to me, and help me.
I love talking to musicians about this aspect of it, because doing something live and then being in the studio, two different animals, but you are thinking along the lines of what's going to resonate live sometimes too when you're making these songs and putting them together. Are there songs in your rotation right now that you feel like you'd like to retire, but just you're holding on to them because the audience is holding on to them too much?
Yes, I could say that. And this was one that I started off.
You don't have to name the song. It's
no,
I don't want to get anybody upset.
So no, it's okay. I'm not really worried about it. I mean, I write songs that I want that resonate, and actually, I was listening to an interview with an artist today, a musician, and he was talking about how this album that he first made early on, way back, was like such a big thing, and and it still is, listening back to it, but at the same time, things have changed, that he hears the songs and they resonate differently. I think of my Irish drinking songs for cat lovers stuff. I love those songs, and they are otherworldly to me, but they're not the songs that I enjoy playing as much, unless I'm doing a cat show, in which case I'm like, fine, and sometimes I'm like, I'm in the mood to do a cat show, but when I'm doing a regular show, it's like those are not, it's like those feel kind of separate from my regular show. And it's not that I don't love those songs, because I think my cat albums are just fantastic, and maybe one of these days I'll do another one. But right now, when I'm doing a show, that was interesting. That was 20 years ago when I recorded the first album. Now I'm doing songs that are a little bit more inspired by the fandoms that I love. So it just varies.
Mm-hmm. And you go in stages too, right? I'm sure you get that inkling to bring something back from a yesteryear sometimes as well. So it probably goes both ways. Definitely.
Yeah, there's Sci-Fi Drinking Songs is an album that I released.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that album as well. There's definitely a period when I was like, it's I love it. I mean, I love the songs on it, but it's kind of it had taken a back burner. Firefly Drinking Songs specifically had taken more. Hobbit Drinking Songs became a little bit more. And then I started making the albums that are a little bit of a mix of everything. But recently it's like I don't know. I think if the next album or two, one of these in the future is going to be called Sci-Fi Drinking Songs 2, because I want to continue a little bit more of those That's ideas. Awesome. And it's like a lot of the songs that I do, anyways. I mean, they are kind of sci-fi drinking songs, as it is. It's all about good sing-along songs. So
yeah, and it's kind of the music you play too, right?
Yeah,
it's the catering you to. It is. We talked about this a couple years ago when we spoke. I think the first time we ever spoke, talking about how folk music is kind of on an upswing in a resurgence in a lot of ways. Yeah. Are you still kind of feeling that, or do you feel like you have to work a little harder these days to get people to enjoy what you're doing?
I have rarely felt that I had to work harder to get people to enjoy it when they hear it. Trying to get heard, to get in front of an audience. That's the biggest challenge.
That
Because
makes
once,
sense.
people, when they hear sci-fi drinking, if I say sci-fi drinking songs at a convention, they're all like, okay, sure, yes,
Yeah.
please. But you do that, you mentioned that out in the mundane world, and they're like, I'm not so sure, but you play it for them, and they're like, oh my God, yes, please,
Yeah.
and that's really what it boils down to. I think folk music in general. I have felt like the folk scene continues to blossom and grow, and there's a lot of great songwriting that's happening, and I'm excited to see all that. And I'd love to be a little bit more a part of it, but getting into it is a difficult. I do better definitely at the sci-fi conventions and Renaissance festivals. So yeah.
I mean, Dragon Con has its own track for what you guys do. So, and it goes all weekend. And Amber was telling me that it's hard to program all these guys because there's so many, and there's just there's a lot going on, and everybody wants to be there and do this, right?
Everyone wants a moment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when the crowds are going to be 300, 400 people, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, which is insane. I mean, to play for an audience of 300 is the biggest rush.
Yeah.
You get so excited. Hobbit drinking songs is one of my big ones at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
And that one, the audience is, and again, the thing I like about what I do, the sci-fi drinking songs idea, is that again, it is so simple. You don't have to know any of my songs for you to walk away singing them. Because you will when I get done with you. You will sing along and you'll have fun with it, and that's what makes a great drinking song.
I think that's the power of folk music in general, right? I think that's really where folk music has a leg up on
true
any other genre.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of the pop or rock acts, and they sometimes will have a really catchy chorus, but that's not what it's all about. I was listening to another artist actually who was like, they're playing. There's an artist actually in Austin, Patrice Pike. She is she played with a band called Sister Seven, Little Sister. 30 years ago, and she has just a brilliant voice. If you ever see her live, you're like, oh my God, you're the best musician ever. But you listen to her recordings and there's no choruses. You hear her voice and you're like, oh my God, she's just amazing. But her voice is what makes her amazing. It's not the song itself. What I would love to hear more of is give me a great chorus. And that's what I try to do is, very simple, very easy. You're in and out and you're singing along in 2 seconds, I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to learn a chorus because it's learned after you hear it.
I wonder for you too, because you probably have the same, you travel the circuit, and we've crossed paths in other circuits, and so I know that you know the same people that I know, and the same people come and see you and do those things as well. So how helpful is that for you too, to be playing to the audience? And I'm curious, does that change your mindset when you're creating a set, because you know that the certain people are going to be there, but maybe you want to introduce them to something new? Or are you more apt to introduce them to something new, or are you more apt to kind of play the things that they recognize?
That's funny. That has long been one of the eternal question of musicians everywhere, because you always want to do something new, share something new and exciting and such. It's weird. I don't know. The past 3 to 5 years, I feel like I've I don't know if given in, accepted. I don't know the word, but it's to basically say it's not about me. It's about what the audience wants. Yes, I will throw a little bit of what I want in there as well, because I want to try some new material. But it's not just about me playing a whole new set. Now, that said, I also realize that sometimes I'm playing to completely new audiences who have never heard my music before. So what does it matter if I'm doing something brand new,
Right.
because then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. The cat songs, they will never hear don't know the cat songs. They might not know sci-fi drinking songs. They might not know my Irish or Scottish songs. So I can give them something entirely new. So I have accepted the fact that a lot of the stuff that when I put together a set, I try to put together a lot of my best songs, a little bit weighted towards some of the newer material, but I do not shy away from the ones that are hits, the ones that people just love and that always resonate. And that's the thing, if it always resonates, if you have if your half your set is that, then your set is going to slay, is the way I see it. So yeah.
And you get a nice little rush from collaboration because you have a band that you've reunited with and done stuff with, and you just put out a new album with that band, right?
Yeah.
So how is that different for you? Is that a different experience, or do you feel like it's kind of the same experience, just shared space?
It is definitely different. I compartmentalize a lot of the things the way I think of. So the Brobdingnagian and Bards is largely a Renaissance festival band. That's where we got our start. So I put, when I'm writing songs that could be a little bit more Renaissance festival, I okay, we're gonna put that with the Bard stuff. Whereas sci-fi drinking songs a little bit more my own stuff. I have another couple projects that I've done, the Kilted Kings, when we were a little bit more Celtic World Renaissance festival. But then we haven't done anything in 7 years, so probably doesn't matter anyways. But yeah, I definitely compartmentalize, and my own stuff is a little bit more sci-fi or Irish, Scottish related, because those are the things that people, when they think of me, they think of that sort of stuff. Whereas the Bards is definitely Renaissance festival. It could be Irish or Scottish as well, but Renaissance festival. So yeah.
Do you enjoy exercising that muscle as much as does it help you on your own sometimes? Do you feel like because of you're using that energy, you get more energy for yourself and the stuff you're doing on your own?
It's really interesting because we are very different. Andrew and I, when I play with the Brobdingnagian Bards, we are very different. It's a very different show. Mm-hmm. I feel like to some degree my solo show is a little bit better. But every now and then you do a Bard show and it's just, it's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And it's because of our interactions, and we keep talking about this every time we do stuff. We do a show in Texas, Sherwood Forest Fair, and every time we're there, sometimes it's like, the shows are just bombing, and then sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I liken it to a Monty Python or a Steve Martin. Because if you are familiar with her, like Steve Martin, if you listen to his, he wrote a book, and he talks about how he did shows, and it's very off the wall. It's very Monty Python-esque, where it's like, what's going on here? And then you got some good singing along with it. I don't know what to think about this. And that's how I see the Bards, is you're like, what hit me? Whereas my solo shows, I feel like I have I'm a little better at pulling the sing along stuff as opposed to interacting with him. So yeah, it's so different. It's fun. I like both because of that.
Awesome. Well, as always, you're joy to talk to, you're joy to listen to. I really appreciate everything you do for Multiverse and everything you're about, and I look forward to seeing you and Dragon and Multiverse and all that. And thank you for taking the time to be here today. Tell everybody where they can find all of your wonderful stuff.
Thank you so much, Joe. I can't wait to get back to Multiverse. So yes, you can go to keltfather.net, right down there. It has quick links to basically all of my stuff, music and podcasts. I have multiple podcasts. Actually, I didn't even tell you this, but I'm working on a new podcast series for folk songs and stories. It's called Quest and Chorus, and basically each episode I'm sort of combining some of the things I love: travel, music, geeky songs, and then I'm add a little bit of a quest. There's a secret word in there as well, so that you have to listen in, and if you get through it, you get rewards, and then if you get through all the episodes, you get even more rewards. So I'm really excited about this little project. I just need to finish it.
That's awesome. We'll look forward to that. I definitely want to check that out.
But all that's right there. I'm on Patreon, I'm on the socials, I'm on Spotify, but it's all right there. That's awesome. The way to get to it. Yeah.
Everybody go check out Marc Gunn. Come Adventure With Me is an absolute gem. I think everybody needs to go check that album out, please. And thank you, Marc, for being here. And we'll be right back with the one and only Tyra Burton.
Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Folks were like, let's come up with some packages, some classes, some things like that you can do to really make it a good offering to people, not just turn us loose to go figure out how to, and just hope people go eat in the restaurant or something. So they've worked out some really good stuff with us. Like you can pre-purchase meals. There's, it's dinner Friday, all 3 meals on Saturday, and then breakfast and lunch on Sunday. You can buy them a la carte one at a time, or get them as a package. And the two, I think, coolest parts about this is one is that all of these, whether it's a la carte or the packages, taxes and tips are already fully included. So like whatever, if you buy one of those packages, that's all you pay. You're done. So those are, and every one of those, like if you're going to eat anyway, especially if you were going to eat in the restaurant anyway, this is a way to have it taken care of ahead of time with the taxes and gratuities included. And it helps Multiverse toward our obligation to the hotel. So those are really good. And
if you have dietary restrictions, we also are working with the hotel right now to try to come up with, like gluten-free options and things like that to make sure that we're being inclusive on that front as well.
Yeah. And one question we've gotten a few times to go ahead and answer is that we will still have our con suite like we always do. This is not to replace that, but not everybody eats at the con suite. Sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes you want to, sit down and have a meal in the restaurant.
Yeah, so everybody go and check that out. One of those few opportunities you get to eat at the hotel and help out Multiverse at the same time. So that's really great. And what else is really great is that I get to finish off the mid-season with somebody who I just adore and just am so glad is here. And
me too.
One of my favorite people on the planet. Everybody, Miss Tyra Burton's here.
Hi,
Tyra.
Joe. I am a hot mess, as always.
I mean, crazy. Life is crazy, right? So,
So we have somebody picking up furniture in the room next door to me. So this is going to be fun and exciting.
When Marc was here, they were testing my fire alarm. So that was real exciting as well. So
it's always a good time here.
For anybody who doesn't know who you are, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I'm Tyra Burton, as this lovely thing says, and I'm a professor of marketing and the honors program now at Kennesaw State University. And I host a bunch of podcasts. One's called Building Bold Connections with KSU. And then I have a new one that we've been doing with the digital media track, but Charles McFall and I have spun it off to ourselves. It's called Be Awesome Together, where we try to help educate the digital media community and inspire them and bring them together. And Geek Meet Social is getting ready to relaunch. So I'm just a podcasting crazy girl and about halfway through a cozy fantasy novel that I'm going to finish this year. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Can't wait for that. That'll be right up some of our audience's alleys there, because we just got some cozy fantasy writers in our audience. So that's cool. Awesome.
We have some Tales by Bob and Ben. Love me some Bob and Ben.
We talked last year about, we actually were together at the Meat Track last year, which I thought was very cool. And I want to talk a little bit about that too. But, I was curious your thoughts on the venue and how you liked the new setup and everything.
So once we got there, plan ahead and realize it's further than you think it is. Just saying. But once you get there, it's beautiful. I mean, we love the fact that you could walk so quickly from your hotel room to the con space. The restaurant was lovely. We did a meal package last year. My husband has a very weird food allergy, so you got to let him know. But The restaurant food was awesome, but we really liked how convenient it was. Once we got
Yeah.
there, we were there. We didn't have to leave. And Peachtree City is just beautiful. I mean, that whole like complex, I love the complex. We actually went to a wedding there a couple of years ago
Okay.
that I left Multiverse in its old location to drive down there to go to a wedding and then drive
I
back.
think you told me about that last time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. But I love the lake, the whole kind of nature part of it. It's just beautiful. So, I mean, even if you don't like any of the programming, you can get lots of happiness just by being around people and out in nature. But the programming is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And yeah, along those lines, like I was just talking about the meat track, Mark was talking about his experience on the songwriting aspect of it. But
Oh.
we did the podcasting one last year, and I thought that was really interesting. It was a mix of people who wanted to know what that was about, and kind of old hats at it, and kind of sharing a little bit of war stories there a little bit. I really enjoyed that, and it was very interesting, and I love that about Multiverse. I think that is a unique track that I think is
It
very,
is.
very cool.
I think the meat track, and there's the whole creating space, the creative space where you can go in, and there's some workshops and classes there, but you can also just go in and play, which is astounding. But, ooh, I obviously needed to bring a beverage. But the meat track is great because you get to meet people of similar interests. So if you're shy, it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
And it's always a welcoming group, regardless of what topic it is. I've gone to the astrology and the tarot and the podcasters, and everybody's just wants to share and is delightful. And there's always good conversation. So if you are, for me, like, DragonCon is a huge con. Don't let it be your first because it's crazy. But Multiverse is like perfect because it's like the right number of people. You can find your crowd. There's so much to do. There's little experiences like playing games or making crafts or going to the meetups that really help you connect to other people.
Yeah.
Which hopefully that's why you're coming, is you want to find some more geeks like yourself.
Right. And feel a little bit more like, you're not alone in this world.
True. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, especially nowadays. You can feel so isolated. Even though we've kind of moved past a lot of the COVID stuff, it still is there.
Yeah.
And it can just be harder to connect with people in real time. And so I think Multiverse allows that space to do that. And that's great. You have built-in buddies.
I do think for DragonCon, your wheelhouse is more of the visual track and the audio visual tracks, and doing the podcasting track that they have at DragonCon and things like that. And do you feel like Multiverse could benefit from something like that, or at least maybe a panel or two with that?
I'm always going to say that we need more digital media out there. Because there's so much that connects to it. So like the digital media track is my home at DragonCon, but I've been on the fantasy track and the writers track and the film track because I do social media and digital marketing. So that lets me go many places. But creators, which we have so many creators at Multiverse, that digital component can just be so helpful. So I'm going to always encourage digital media type tracks, whether it's podcasting or music. Like just learning how to record music nowadays is completely different than it used to be. And I think there's also the conversation of AI. Last year I moderated a panel at Multiverse about AI. And actually Liam Fisher and I were dueling panels. He had the positive and I was like let's squash this with our feet. But there is so much conversation that needs to happen about that and how you use it or how you don't use it.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
I think that is certainly in digital media too. That is becoming one of those things that is becoming a little taboo as well. And talking about that, and especially for somebody like myself who spends a lot of time creating intros and outros, AI has kind of been shortcutting a lot of that, and I think a lot of people are taking advantage of that, and it feels canned to me a little bit in a lot of respects, and so I do appreciate that there's still creativity out there with what we do.
I try to teach my students that AI is just a tool.
Yeah,
it can be a great collaborative tool. Using it ethically is the first thing you have to really start thinking about. but it can be a great jumping off point. It can help you accomplish tasks that are, mundane, that are just things that you're going to be doing the same thing every time. Or if you're not skilled at something, it can help you with that. And hopefully you get better skilled. But my thing is, you should know how to do the thing before you ever let AI do the thing. So if it does the thing right, because frequently it doesn't.
So when you looked at the 17-page opus that we received, was there something that stood out to you? Did you feel like there was something you really wanted to talk about this year, or do you feel like there's a certain track that you're leaning towards? How do you approach what we've seen on the panels?
Y'all are the most organized. Like I think the digital media track at DragonCon is amazingly organized, but you guys beat us so much by really rallying around your guest and getting them to really say, hey, I'm comfortable doing this. I'm not comfortable doing that. And letting people step up to moderate. Matter of fact, some of the best moderator training I ever had was through Multiverse, the first year I moderated. Really teaching you about, how to look at a room and make sure that everybody's being included in the conversation, both your guest on the panel, but also your guest in the audience. So I think Multiverse does a great job of that. I am in a Star Wars crazy phase, so I'm hoping I get some time to talk about Star Wars, because I always love doing that. I love the writer's track. Vanessa, I know she's moved on up, but I just love the writer's track. And I love helping people learn about how to market, and anything that's talking about how to create brand, how to market yourself, especially digitally, really understanding your mission, because I think that's really important, not only in what you're creating, but also your life. So that it can help drive what you do. And Charles and I just went through this process with Be Awesome together. So I'm like, it's all fresh in my mind about, it really does matter that you know why you're there. And so I love stuff like that. Unfortunately, after answering the 9,000 pages, I don't remember any of it.
I've asked that question of every single person since that has come out, and it's the same answer. So,
good. I feel better now.
Yeah, you're good. It's fine. But I mean, I do think though there is a lot more choices at Multiverse than I've seen at other places before, right? So you kind of get pigeonholed in some of these smaller cons to do certain things, and
absolutely,
I think Multiverse does allow you to branch out a little bit more.
And I think Multiverse segments it very well. Like, and some things are questionable. Like, let's all admit, Jessica, I am with you, sister. I really am. I have no idea what I said, but I think that by having like fantasy and science fiction and horror and really trying to cover all those big category bases is great. And I love the fact I'm actually going to be on the academic track this year.
Oh, so, nice. Doing a presentation?
I am. I'm presenting a paper. So
cool.
I love it. Star Wars and marketing.
Oh.
Shocker. So I'm excited.
How they could have sold the Death Star a little bit better, maybe?
That's it. What is it? It's the impact of Star Wars on marketing and fan culture.
Oh, how cool.
So, but that's like my jam. I wrote a academic case study about DragonCon. And I love the whole fan community because, well, I met my husband there, met a lot of my friends there, have really changed a lot of my life because of the fan culture. So I like talking about it.
1000%. I'm with you 100. I mean, I haven't met my significant other there, but that's fine. I'm happy to have many, many friends and do many, many things. So it's very cool. I agree with you though. It is something about finding, I hate to use the word tribe because that's not right, but it's something about finding your people and your space and where you belong that really resonates. It kind of gives you footing to do what you want to do and be who you want to be and not have to be, not have to be aware of other people being uncomfortable about it,
No, it's 100% true. And I'm very sorry that my dog is going to bark now because guess who has arrived? So we're going to offer Davi a piece of... Okay, Joe, can you talk for just a minute? I'm going to let the dog
absolutely.
out. Hang on just a second.
No
I apologize, everybody. This is real life.
It's all good. It happens. So everybody, this will give me a good opportunity to mention to everybody about right now. If you aren't at Multiverse or planning on going to Multiverse, we have the pass available for you, and the pass is a very at its most affordable rate at this very moment, and it will be available very shortly for a very short period of time left over. So make sure if you're planning on it or you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, now is the time, because that rates will change and you won't have the opportunity you have right now to get it at its cheapest. So go do that right now, everybody. So
I actually have to go do that. So my dog was really providing me the opportunity because I don't have my husband's pass.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm just, a bad wife. I usually buy it. I'm like, I'm horrible. I buy it when I'm there, which is so stupid. So don't be Tyra. Go buy now. I'm going to actually write a note with the pen I stole from the hotel I stay at DragonCon. It still pens at every hotel. But I'm going to write it down now. So all of you out there in podcast live stream land, you write it down too and go get it, because you will not regret it.
What brought you to Cozy Fantasy? What was it about Cozy Fantasy that you were like, I have to write something in this genre?
So it really was this moment where I've been part of the romance writers community for a long time, and I have a sci-fi romance out that I wrote with Sherry Morgan, and actually Sherry Fillion. She changed her name for it. But so I've been writing romance for a very long time, and it dawned on me that I read some romance, but I'm a fantasy reader. Like, I grew up on reading The Hobbit, but I also grew up on reading Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes. And Agatha Christie is like the ultimate, like, where Miss Marple and Cozy's really started. And I grew up watching Murder, She Wrote and Quincy and all these shows with my mom. And one day it just dawned on me, it's like, you are not writing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so this idea came into my head and it plopped in there. And all of a sudden, after I've had a hard time writing ever since COVID. And all of a sudden I could write again. And all of a sudden this entire universe dropped into my head, and the entire story for like 3 books. And so now it's just a matter of me having the discipline and the time to write. And I've got about 45,000 words in now. So I'm well on. I know what I'm doing. I feel good. But it was just really, I look back at my life and I'm like, yeah, possibly my entire world was like going, Tyra, hi, Cozy Fantasy. Because I like fantasy. I love Tolkien, but The Hobbit is actually the favorite of his books. And it's much more cozy than the others.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah. That's cool. I love that. As somebody who does a lot of, marketing planning and things like that, did you find that the rules of a cozy kind of mirrored your sentimentality for marketing in a lot of ways?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it also, like, cozies are very much about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read romance as a young lady, I always read romances about towns, where you would have books about this couple getting together and this couple, and you'd find out about the first couple in the second book, and, their lives were all intertwined. And that's very cozy-ish.
Yeah.
That's even true in fantasy. And I'm not a hardcore fantasy girl. I can't keep track of all that crap. I just can't. So it really fit my sensibilities, and I love relationships, and that's what I like to write about. So I think it really was the perfect mirroring of what I've really been training for all my life and what I love. And so I started reading cozy fantasies, and I was like, well, gosh darn it, this is what I should be doing. So I love a good mystery. I read cozy mysteries. I've read those for years. Again, Murder, She Wrote. Mm-hmm. So Angela Lansbury is amazing. Mm-hmm. I am Jamie Lee Curtis is coming to do the reboot. Mm-hmm. And I'm slightly scared, slightly excited. I can't decide which. But I think it really just fits my personality. And I think that's how I ended up starting with romance, is I like relationships. And cozies really lead to that relationship of that entire village that you're talking about. So I will say mine has a little bit more action than most of them.
Nice.
But I'm okay with that. I'm only killing a few people. It'll be fine.
And off screen, because cozies there's no violence in cozies. So
except for that one creature. I'm sorry. It'll be fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it is making a return, and we have a female Madlock now, and
I know she's.
Yeah.
And I kind of see them as different Madlocks. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
for sure.
It's sort of the same idea, but I love the fact that again, it's a woman because even Andy Griffin when he was older.
Yeah.
And she's older, and it's wonderful to see that on screen. And a lot of the cozies have slightly older characters. They're not in their 18s and 20s sometimes. There are some really good ones. I'm reading one right now that I think she's in her 20s. And my characters are more 30s, pushing 40. Because
I also think that it's lending itself to neurodivergency very well too, because I think there is a tendency, because it is so like rule based and so defined that it mirrors a personality type, and I think that has helped people who write neurodivergent characters kind of bring them out a little bit more with the way that cozies kind of operate.
Yeah, I agree. And I like to break rules. So there's a little violence. I'm sorry, everybody. I'll warn you ahead. It's a kind of HEA, though, because I learned in romance. I like happily ever afters because that's just my jam. That's why I ignore parts of the sequels for Star Wars.
Okay, fair enough. I was just going to say. Anita says that's why I struggle with writing a cozy no violence.
Yeah, but you know what? I went back and I watched all of Murder, She Wrote, and there's a lot of violence. I'm just saying.
There tends to be, yeah. I mean,
there's murder.
It's more
blood.
implied though. A lot of times, though,
Yeah.
And that's I think implied is something different than actually physically watching somebody die from poisoning and things of that nature. Right?
Yes, we're not going to do that because I don't want to describe that because I like
Yeah.
dialogue. Description is I have to work at that. But
do you feel like this is a start of a series for you, or
yeah.
are you kind of just testing the waters and seeing how it tastes, how it feels?
Full on. It downloaded in my brain, and I went, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm going to be doing this for the next couple of years, which I'm completely happy because I actually am writing, and I just bought a Kindle Scribe.
Oh, nice.
Because I wanted to test the waters of an e-ink notebook. But I didn't want to pay $900. And I caught one on sale with a 20% discount for turning in an old Alexa. And so I got it less than half price. And I have used the crap out of it. I had no idea. And because anytime I can stop and write a little bit, I can pull that out of my purse. It's not as heavy or as complicated as my laptop, which I love. But, and also I like that feeling of writing sometimes. So that's helping my world.
That's awesome. I love it. I do want to talk a little bit about, you guys, you and Charles are doing this incredible podcast, which I've watched several times and I've really enjoyed. And I'm, is there you just have chemistry with people? You feel like in that kind of why this works, or did you feel like there was just Dragon Con was just not giving you guys enough space to kind of do the things you want to talk about, or was it kind of a mixture of both?
It was a little bit of a mixture of both. We were starting to kind of leave the realm of marketing the digital media track, and we had been putting so much energy into it. And I looked at him and I said, this really is ours and not Dragon's.
Yeah.
And we love Dragon, and we're still going to be doing some podcasts before.
Yeah, it's still semi-affiliated with Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to be doing some Not Be Awesome Together. We're probably going to go back to, we used to do Behind the Track. And we may drag that out in August to talk about what's going on at the track this year. But I think we just wanted more. And he was at a place in his life where things were changing. His career trajectory is changing. And I've been looking to think about, because I'm getting a little older. Shocker. I'm going to be 57 in 2 months. And I'm thinking about, well, what's next? I love being a professor. I love teaching. I'm excited. I'm going to be an honors fellow for the next 2 years or hopefully next 2 years. 1 year for sure. 2 years, I'm crossing my fingers. And it's the first time in 22 years I've done something different.
That's
So
awesome.
it's like, I'm like super excited and terrified all at the same time. And it was just kind of a moment where I was like, let's start building a platform where we can make a difference in community. Because the thing I love about teaching is that I make a difference in people's lives and that I can help people figure out how to get to their dreams while I'm getting to my dreams. And so Be Awesome Together really kind of blossomed into that. And when we sat down and really thought about, okay, what is our mission? And it's about education, it's about inspiration, and it's about building community. And once we did that, it was like all of a sudden pieces started falling into place, and gives me a place to do that, gives him a place to do that. And thankfully, over the years, he and I have built a good chemistry between the two of us. I think we're kind of funny together.
Yes, I would agree.
He brings out some snark in me that it's not normal. Like, I'm like the sweet little, they call me Tinkerbell. I actually have a Tinkerbell in my microphone, but that's what the track calls me. And so I got a little sass, but by gosh, he brings it out. Bless him.
There is some provoking going on for sure.
Just a little. He knows my buttons and how to push them, but equally I know his. But he's just the best dude, and it's couched in sometimes this rock god of podcasting.
Yeah,
but really, Charles is just—he's a good guy. He wants to do good in the world.
A lot of people who don't know Charles will get a good taste of him coming up here on this program. On our network, we have him and Bob sat down and did a Page Numbers episode that will be airing later this week. So you'll get to really get to know Charles a lot, because they do go a lot in depth of how Charles got started in it and how it's how he's kind of built the rock god persona and everything like that. It's very cool. It's a very cool interview. I think everybody will really get a good taste of Charles from that. So
Bob and Charles together, it's frightening. I have sat on a panel with them on each side of me moderating it. I'm like, I am sorry, everybody, because this is going to go off the rails. I just don't know exactly where we're going to end up.
First thing he said to me when he sent me the raw interview was, "Sorry, we went over." And I looked at it, and it's an hour and 40 minutes from the raw. So yeah, they went over just a little bit. But yeah, it's all good. It's really good stuff, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. And I'm working on it as we're talking, so I'm editing it right now and put it out there and get it out there for everybody to see. But yeah,
multitasking for Multiverse.
Always. Well, I'm not technically right now editing, but yeah, but as you know, all day long I've been editing it, and I'll continue to edit it throughout the week. So yeah, but
I'm so impressed. Editing is my Achilles heel.
Really?
Yes, I hate it, and I have a stack of stuff that we're not going to even talk about that I need to sit down and edit. But I turned in grades at noon today, and I have about a week and a half, so we'll see what happens.
I can relate to that as well. Making the time is really the hardest part about all of that. But it's tedious. I used to really, when I was making films, it was the one thing I didn't want to be involved with. I would sit there and be so bored watching these guys load the film up and then go back, go forward, go back. Same scene 50 times, and it drove me crazy. And I was young and I didn't have enough patience for it. And now that I'm doing it on my own, it's actually become very therapeutic. I really enjoy it, actually. So.
Well, I hope I get there, because I'm not. Part of mine is trying to carve out the time to do it.
That's the real hard part. That's the hardest part about it. Yeah.
Because many of us that are creators also have a day job, and blasted, that thing gets in the way.
Yeah.
But I love it. Universe, I'm not saying that I don't need the day job. Just want to put that out there. I love my day job.
And I'm the same. I will say the same, but I do tend to find that right before I have to go to my day job is when I've really hit my stride and I'm really going hard at it. And then I go, damn it, I have to walk away. I have to go. So, but yeah, I can totally relate to that. Is there something interesting about starting a new venture, you and Charles, with Be Awesome? Are you finding it a little different nowadays than when you started podcasts before, or do you guys feel like it's better now? Where are you at in terms of how the production of it and putting it out there has gone?
I think it's actually more intentional now.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, it was me trying to run fast to keep up every week, and there wasn't really. I mean, the rhyme or reason was let's talk about digital. Let's bring in some people. We could be having somebody take over, but when we sat down to do it, we actually put some guardrails on some things because Charles and I have differing opinions about AI. So we had a negotiation. I won. So. And he does all the editing, by the way, AF.
Of course.
That was also in that package deal. But we have show notes, which we never had when we were doing it on our own. And we have show notes and we have a plan and we have a producer that's with us, Kaz from The Track. She's actually helps to produce our podcast and keep us on track. And so we're actually more focused and we have more intention. And I think intention is probably the biggest difference. So before we would have people on and have conversations, which Charles and I, if I'm stuck in an elevator with you, I'm going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the girl that's going, hi, I'm Tyra. Why are you here? I'm sorry to everybody who's an introvert that I have interrupted their introvertedness. When I go back to my room, I'm an introvert. But instead of kind of having that very, very organic conversation, we now do that with intention. We still have a lot of organic space in there, but we have a plan, and we're actually get together. Matter of fact, tomorrow morning we'll get together and talk about our episode that we'll film tomorrow night, and we'll talk about the episode that I missed because I was at a convention last week, so I wasn't there. So he was on his own. I haven't had time to listen to it, so we'll find out. But we have a plan, and even he had a plan going into when I wasn't there. And so I think intention is probably the biggest thing, and it really makes it easier. I hate to say that because I'm a fly by the seat of my pants writer too, but it really helps the process. Like having just a little structure is amazing how well that does. And I should have known that because I do content calendars all the time for social media. And I'm like, well, Tyra, I guess you knew this one. You just weren't doing, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Well, as you all could tell, I could talk to Tyra forever.
I could talk to Joe forever too. And we never get time. I swear we're going to get to have, we're going to have a beverage of whatever kind you like to have.
Yeah.
We'll have a beverage this multiverse. We didn't get to last time.
And I'll probably see your dragon as well, so we'll hang out there as well. So.
Oh, very good.
But tell everybody where they can find your podcast and everything you're doing out there, all your books and everything, and tell everybody where they can check you out at.
TyraBurton.com. It's so easy, and it is the reason I changed. So my original name was Tyra Mitchell. And I own TyraMitchell.com, and my husband was lucky that Tyra Burton was available. Otherwise, might not have changed my name. But, and I told him real commitment was not when I said yes. It was when I gave up paying for TyraMitchell.com. So TyraBurton.com, you can find me there. I'm all platforms, usually as Tyra Burton, Blue Sky. I still dive into Twitter, but only because I'm a Chiefs fan and a Swiftie, but don't make too many fans of me. I was a Chiefs fan first, and now I'm a Taylor fan because of Travis. And we talk a lot about that on Be Awesome Together because I like to poke Charles with it. Everywhere. Instagram is probably my favorite place to be, but I'm all over. And if you got any social media questions, drop them to me. I'll lie to you or give you an answer.
Go check out the show. It's really great, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody who was a guest this past couple months, and all of you who've been watching, and all of you who have decided to come in Multiverse because of this show. We really do appreciate it, or because of Multiverse, but not because of this show, but because of Multiverse. And
But Joe, I think we need to thank you because you do an amazing job with this. You are always on point. You are always churning out content to help people learn what Multiverse is. And without you doing that, the verse would not be as big. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's very nice of you. And yeah, everybody, go, like I said, go get your tickets now because it's not going to be the same when we come back in September. The pricing goes up. So go check that out. And stay around here at Go and now because in a couple less than an hour now we're actually going to be doing our live gaming another Hit the Dice episode for you, and that should be a lot of fun as the Cryptic Captive crew that Bob Magoo written RPG, and a group led by Miss Jessica Nettles will take on another.
They're gonna have fun
out there. Yeah, so it's gonna be awesome. Everybody check that out. That's at 9:00 Eastern, or excuse me, 8:00 Eastern. So actually, it's gonna start here, or has already started. So go over and check that out as soon as we hear. Let me get out of here so that you can do that. Everybody, remember, it's always time to go in now. We'll see you guys later. Bye.